Hello and welcome to What Happened This Weekend in MMA. I am your host, Matthew Mitchum, and on today's show, we'll be covering this past weekend's UFC fights in London, headlined by Tom Aspinall versus Marcin Tybura. We're also going to be taking a look at one more fighter this week when it comes to UFC card investing. And lastly, we'll be going over this upcoming weekend's pay-per-view, UFC 291, headlined by Justin the Highlight Gaethje and Dustin the Diamond Poirier. We'll be joined by Mystic Matt as well for him to give us his plays for the week. The UFC returned to London this past weekend, where in the main event, Tom Aspinall dropped Marcin Tybura and finished him off with some ground and pound just 1 minute and 13 seconds into the first round. Tom Aspinall is back, baby. In the co-main event, we got another meatball sub. Not that meatball sub. Julia Stolyarenko ended up taking down and submitting Molly McCann with her specialty armbar just 1 minute and 55 seconds into the first round. In the feature fight of the night between Andre Touchy-Feely and the prospect Nathaniel Wood, we had one of the best fights of the year. Feely and Wood would both end up dropping each other throughout the fight, but in the end, the prospect Nathaniel Wood would get his hand raised victorious. Jai Herbert and Fares Ziem had a competitive back and forth fight, but Fares Ziem gets his hand raised. Lerone the Miracle Murphy improved to 13-0-1 this weekend when he defeated Joshua Kuya Kulubau via decision. And some other headlines from the prelims were Daniel Marcos improves to 15-0 with his split decision victory over Dangerous Davy Grant. UFC newcomer, the Sluggernaut Johnny Parsons knocks out Hot Chocolate Danny Roberts at the end of the second round. Spanish prospect Joel Alvarez defeats the Bone Crusher Mark DeCasey with a Darce choke after an odd clash of heads that started the exchange. I really wasn't sure what they were going to do with a decision at the end, but Joel Alvarez does indeed get his hand raised. And in the first fight of the night, Jafel Filho comes back after being dropped to submit Daniel Barres in the first round. And this week, we've got one more fighter that we think you should be taking a look at when it comes to UFC card investing. And that fighter this week is going to be Matthew Semi the Jedi Semelsberger. Matthew Semelsberger's rookie card set is 2023 Prism, or just 2023 year altogether. You can find his autographs and his rookie cards both this year in 2023 Prism. And if you don't know Matthew Semi the Jedi Semelsberger, you really should. He's going to be fighting this weekend against Uroš Medic. That's mostly fought down at 155. And if there's one thing that Semi the Jedi is not lacking, that is power. He has dropped almost everyone that stepped into the octagon with him. Semelsberger is definitely a young prospect worthy to keep your eye on. And that is why I think this week, Matthew Semi the Jedi Semelsberger is an excellent buy. And lastly, we've got a UFC pay-per-view this weekend, UFC 291, where in the main event, the BMF title is back and on the line between Justin the Highlight Gaethje and Dustin the Diamond Poirier. They're going to battle it out to see who is the baddest motherfucker in the game. In the co-main event, we've got former middleweight champion Alex Poatan Pereira moving up to take on former light heavyweight champion Polish powerhouse Jan Blachowicz. The ageless Wonder Boy Stephen Thompson returns this weekend to take on the former UFC acrobat Michel Pereira. El Kukui Tony Ferguson drops back down to lightweight this weekend as he's going to be taking on Bobby King Green. And opening up the pay-per-view main card this weekend, we've got the Trailblazer Kevin Holland taking on the Maverick Michael Chiesa. And now let's bring on our weekly guest, Mystic Matt, to give us his plays for the week. Hey, Mystic Matt, I see you're rocking that gold chain this week. Good weekend? Hey, Matthew, what's going on? And yes, definitely good weekend. As you see, the cheddar chain is on. I actually hit a 10 leg this past weekend, so I can't be too upset over here on this side. Well, hey, man, there's nothing to complain about there. Let's see if we can keep it rolling this week. What do you have for your plays this upcoming weekend? Hell yeah, man. I plan on it. So starting off this week, I'm going to start off with my 3-leg like I do every week. And leg number 1 on that 3-leg is going to be agreeing with you in what you said earlier in the show. Semi the Jedi, Matthew Semelsberger, to get the win this weekend. The dude is young. He's hungry. He's got tons of power. And my biggest thing that I love to see in fighters is when they listen to their coaches. And he does it. He'll do exactly what his coaches ask. Semi the Jedi gets the dub this weekend for leg number 1. And leg number 2 is going to be Roman Kapilov over Claudio Ribeiro. Roman Kapilov has a granite chin. He's super tough for the most part. On the other side, Claudio Ribeiro is super explosive round one, but he tends to run out of gas and is only dangerous in that first round. So I am counting on Roman Kapilov to outlast round one Claudio Ribeiro, to go on to maybe even finish Claudio Ribeiro later on in the fight. But Roman Kapilov should for sure get the decision win if he doesn't finish Claudio. But Roman Kapilov straight up for leg number 2. And leg number 3 this week is my guy, the Trailblazer, Kevin Holland. I know Kevin has struggled against wrestlers that can hold him down, but if you look back, that was only at catch weights and up at 185. The Maverick is not that. The Maverick fought down at 155. Kevin Holland has much better striking on the feet. He definitely has more power. And I don't think the Maverick is able to hold the Trailblazer down this week. Give me Kevin Holland straight up for leg number 3 this week. That sounds good, Mystic Matt. You seem to convince me every single week. How about your dog this week, man? Well, Matthew, my dog this week is going to be someone that I feel like a lot of people have lost faith in recently. He's a little bit older now, and he's only fought killers for the most part. My dog this week is Derek the Black Beast Lewis. He's fighting Marcus Rogerio de Lima, or Pezao, if you will. Personally, I don't think Pezao's that good. He got forearm choked out by Alexander Romanov, and if you get forearm choked in the UFC, that's not a good look. I'm counting on the Black Beast this weekend to bang out Pezao. Give me Black Beast for my dog of the week. Let's see them hook 'em horns this weekend. I absolutely love it. Let's see that legendary Black Beast Selly this weekend. I know props aren't open yet, but when they do drop, Mystic Matt, what are you going to be keeping your eye on? I'm going to keep this one short and sweet. Alex Pereira via knockout. Right now, like, the money line is pretty much even, which is, I guess it's not too surprising. But if you ask me, I think the Alex Pereira via knockout should open up at around plus 200 for the most part. And I'm going to be interested at that. Sounds good, Mystic Matt. You know I'm riding with you. But as always, anything before we let you go? Truly, brother, thank you for having me here. I enjoy being here every single week. And if you want to hear my full picks on this full card, along with my best friend, D Rose, make sure to check out the Golden Octagon MMA podcast. That's going to be every UFC Fight Week Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as we got the biker boys going up and down my street. I'm not sure if y'all can hear them. All right, you heard the man. The Golden Octagon MMA podcast every Wednesday of UFC Fight Weeks, live at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Go check it out. But with that being said, that is going to be all from us here this week on what happened this weekend in MMA. Hit that thumbs up button on your way out and catch us right back here next week. I am your host, Matthew Mitchum. Have a good night.